Welcome to my solution of the Heap practice quiz. I'm going to restart the timer. So I got 15 minutes to do this. So we have a max heap represents a max heap. The largest item is the root. Author Cam Moore. Public class max heap. Now normally you wouldn't create a class that is a max heap, but you would probably have a representation inside of something like a heap by itself isn't overly useful, but it's very helpful inside of something like a priority queue. So, but in this case, we're just going to implement the heap, or at least one method of it. So private E, our array of items, which is called heap. We have our private comparator of E's that allows us to choose which E is larger than the other. And a private int size, keep track of how many items are in our heap. And now we want to implement reheap the heap so that the largest value is on top of the heap. And it doesn't return anything. This is just a private inner method that is manipulating the data on the heap. So private void doesn't return anything, reheap. So we're going to call this method after we've added an item to the heap, and we always add an item at what was size, because that's the next open spot. We increment size, and then we call reheap. So we're going to reheap where the item is at size -1. So we want to keep track of the int child. That's the pointer to the child item. That's equal to size -1. Int parent is equal to child -1 div 2, because it's a binary tree. We're storing the heap as a binary tree in the array. So our child and then our parent is always child -1 div 2. So now we want to loop. So we have while parent is greater than or equal to 0, because if parent is -1, we don't want to, we've fallen off the top of the heap. And then parent will be -1 when child is 0, or -1. So that's going to stop. And the c dot compare heap sub child and heap sub parent. So we're comparing child to parent, and if that is greater than 0, meaning that the child is larger than the parent, we've got to swap those items. So we need to temp equals heap, doesn't matter, parent, heap parent is equal to heap child, and then heap child equals temp. So we've now swapped them. So now we need to update parent to child, because now we say child equals parent, because that's the node, the item that we added. So we went up one, and now we say parent equals child -1 div 2, and then we can go back to the loop. And so eventually we make sure that we eventually get to the right place, and then we stop the loop and we've reheaped. So now the added item is in the right place in the heap. So the heap does not mean that the left child is greater than the right child. It just means that the parent is greater than both of its children. So that's the reheap. So we start at the bottom, we compare the parent. For the max heap, if the child's greater than the parent, we swap the parent and the child, recalculate child and parent until we get to the top and potentially swap that item into the root, and then we're done. I don't like this parent. I'm going to change that to child. We can do the swap once. Once child is 0, then I'm a little worried that -1 div 2 might be 0. So once the child is the root, then we're done. Hope this helps.